Most of us probably never dream of being world record holders. We tend to think of world records as being extremely difficult, if not impossible to break, and in a lot of cases, this is true. However, one must also take into account that records have been set for a lot of strange, obscure, and even ridiculous feats, not all of which require supreme athleticism, Tony Stark-level smarts, or even extreme dedication. Many of these records probably still stand only because hardly anybody would ever think that they even exist. But if you have a little bit of time on your hands and want to check your own entry in the fabled Guinness book off your bucket list, here are 25 world records that you, yes you, could probably break. Right off the bat, here's a prime example of a record which doesn't even really seem like it should be a thing. Believe it or not, nobody has verifiably balanced an upside-down shoe on top of their head for longer than 2 hours. So if you're not terribly fidgety and have a couple hours to kill, you could probably knock this one out right now. The record was set by Robert M. of Columbus, Georgia in 2012, and the official time is 2 hours, 23 seconds. So grab a shoe, throw on your favorite movie, and sit very, very still. And you can punch your ticket to Guinness immortality, at least until someone else figures out how easy this is. Most saltine crackers eaten in 1 minute. This one seems like it would be a cinch, but keep in mind that saltines are very dry, and you're not allowed any water during this challenge. The record for most saltines eaten in a minute, however, is only 10, one every 6 seconds. It might be just a bit harder than it sounds, but it certainly seems like with the proper motivation, scarfing down 11 or 12 crackers in a minute should be doable. Just think about sucking on lemons, and you'll do fine. Chug, chug, chug. In order to break this record, you will require one special skill. You have to be one of those people who are capable of simply opening up your throat and pouring stuff down it. But as long as you can do that, downing 500 milliliters of water in less than 2.35 seconds shouldn't be a problem. 500 milliliters is just a little over a pint, and there are a couple catches. You must use a clear glass, and there can be no spillage whatsoever. But if you were the chugging champion in college, this record is waiting for you to smash it. The slimiest achievement. Here's another one of those records that nobody in their right mind would even believe exists. But here we are. The world record for the number of snails a person has fit on their face for a minimum of 10 seconds stands at 43. If you think about it, a lot of snails are really tiny, so having enough space to fit them all shouldn't be a problem. As long as you're not afraid of creepy crawlies and don't mind being the holder of one of the weirdest records out there. Breaking this record should be a cinch, slimy and gross, but still a cinch. Line 'em up. The toughest part of breaking this record would be gaining access to the items needed to make it happen. But once you have that, and a fair amount of space, there's nothing stopping anybody from claiming this record. The longest chain of shoes ever created stands at 10,513 sneakers, stretching for 1.65 miles. Accomplished by National Geographic Kids magazine in 2008. A few hundred trips to Goodwill, and you can be walking away with this record in no time. Stock 'em up. Fitting a case of soda into your fridge isn't always the easiest, but if yours is clean with plenty of space, you can probably defeat this record easily today. The world record for stocking a refrigerator with 24 cans of soda in the shortest time stands at 5.78 seconds, set by Silvio Sabà of Milan, Italy in 2014. The only rules are that the cans can't be damaged or opened, nor can they fall over. So clear off some shelf space, pick up a case of your favorite beverage, and see what your best time is. If you're fast enough, you can dethrone Silvio and claim the title of World Soda Stocking Champion. It takes a steady hand. A lot of people are simply confounded by chopsticks, but if you're not one of them, this record could be yours for the taking. The most Jell-O ever eaten with chopsticks in 1 minute is only 3.2 ounces, which should be no sweat for anyone skilled enough with the utensils. The only rule is that you must keep one hand behind your back, and that's not much of a handicap for experienced users of chopsticks. See how much you can put away in a minute, and perhaps you can claim the crown. You might look extremely silly, but hey, it's still a world record. Glued to the tube. If you binge watched the latest season of Orange is the New Black in a couple of sittings, like most of us, let's face it, this might be the world record attempt for you. Alejandro Fragoso of New York set the record for the most straight hours of television watched with a whopping 94 hours in 2016. Of course, the biggest challenge here is staying awake for the better part of 4 days, not to mention having a plan for constant access to food, water, and a bathroom. Needless to say, you'll want to pick shows you really like, and if you want to take a crack at this one, consult a doctor first. Those with heart conditions or other medical issues shouldn't attempt to go without sleeping for so long. But if you're young, healthy, and already used to pulling all-nighters, start looking through your Blu-ray collection for marathon material. Or just throw on The Simpsons from the beginning. You'll break the record long before you run out of episodes. Next stop, Scarf City. It's entirely possible that there are multiple hungry college students around the world who have already broken this record without even realizing it. The fastest time to eat a whole 12-inch pizza currently stands at 41.31 seconds. A feat that some of you watching this may have accomplished already, albeit perhaps with a hangover assist. The trick is to not be too hungry, because a shrunken stomach will force you to eat slower. So the next time you're ready to eat a whole pizza to yourself, see how fast you can go. Just make sure you have some Pepto-Bismol on hand for afterwards. The iPad Challenge. Tech-savvy teenagers will probably roll their eyes at this one, but it will require a little practice. A young man named Chase Samuel set a world record by typing the entire alphabet on his iPad with only one hand in 3.14 seconds. Just try it a few times. Once muscle memory kicks in, it'll get easier. But before you get started, save yourself some frustration by turning off autocorrect. If you think it's a pain while composing long texts, wait till you see how you feel about it after it ruins your world record attempt. Stick to the task at hand. This is a task that isn't timed, so all you'll need is some preparation and more than 674 sticky notes. That's the number of notes that Tetsuro Degawa of Tokyo stuck to his body in 2014, setting one of the sillier world records out there. As long as you have smooth, wrinkle-free clothing, beating this record shouldn't be a problem. Just take your time. You wouldn't want to screw up your attempt by getting a nasty paper cut, and make sure to cover your body evenly. Of course, the larger the surface area of your body, the better. So this is one endeavor in which people who are tall, hefty, or both will have a distinct advantage. Bundle up. Here's another record that might not make you look exceedingly cool, but if you can pull it off, you can claim your spot in the Guinness Book. The world record for the most shirts donned in 1 minute is 31, or about every 2 seconds. The only real trick here is that you'll want to make sure you have increasingly larger shirts, or it won't be long before you start struggling. You can even have a friend help you. So once again, visit your local Goodwill, pick out a nice array of sizes, and see how quickly you can bundle up. If you ask us, it'll probably take you far longer to get all those shirts off. Hug it out. If you and your significant other can hardly stand to be away from each other, then this might be the world record attempt for you. The current world record for the longest hug is 24 hours and 33 minutes. So not only will you need to be sure you can stay awake for that long, you'll have to find someone you can stand being that close to for that amount of time. You're allowed to eat, drink, scratch itches, really anything that you may need to do while standing in one place for a solid day. But the record will have to be verified by an independent onlooker who ensures that you and your partner keep your arms wrapped around each other at all times. So if there's an itch on your back that needs scratching, maybe have your partner do it for you. Take several cracks at it. Here's one that may also require a little practice, unless you happen to work in the restaurant industry. If so, you're probably already skilled at cracking eggs with one hand. But just how fast can you go? Ross McCurdy, the owner of a breakfast stop in Kingston, Washington, cracked 32 in just 1 minute. Obviously, the key is to get a perfect crack every time, because in order to beat the record, no pieces of shell can fall into the bowl, and no whites or yolks can hit the counter. But if you're a breakfast pro, maybe you can unseat Ross as the record holder, and then celebrate with the biggest omelet you've ever made. Be a star. You may not know that the common jumping jack is also referred to as a star jump. This is the terminology used by Guinness, who recognizes American Ashrita Furman as the record holder with 61 in 1 minute, ever so slightly more than 1 per second. If you think about it, this record should be ridiculously easy, especially if you're lighter with a smaller frame. As an added benefit, you'll help yourself to get in great shape while practicing to smash this record. So get on your workout clothes, break out the stopwatch, and start jumping. Orange you glad this is so easy? The Star Jump title isn't the only one held by Ashrita Furman, far from it. The 63-year-old is the most prolific record breaker in Guinness history, but he holds at least one more title than any experienced restaurateur could probably claim. In 2011, Furman broke the existing record by peeling and eating 3 oranges in 9.72 seconds. It might seem kind of tough, but oranges can just kind of slide down, and nobody said you had to use huge ones. Get your quick peeling technique down, learn to gulp down half an orange at once, and you could steal a record from the record-breaking master. Froggering to glory. You'll need a friend to break this record, and it'll certainly help if both of you have an athletic streak. The world record for the number of leapfrog jumps in 30 seconds is 32, just over 1 per second. Many of us probably smashed this record unknowingly as children, so just take yourself back to the carefree days of youth and leapfrog for all you're worth. Even if you fall short of breaking the record, at least you'll have a lot of fun. Skills at poppin'. When we're blowing up a balloon and it starts getting close to popping, there's an unbearable tension that sets in, even as adults. Perhaps that's why this record hasn't been challenged. The quickest time to blow up a balloon until it pops currently sits at a whopping 13.62 seconds. Those with a lot of lung power should have no trouble with this whatsoever. As long as you can get over the psychological hurdle, that is. This balloon is going to blow up in your face. It should be a snap. Just huff and puff and snag yourself a world record. The Millennial Challenge. Young people who have grown up with smartphones should find this record ridiculously easy to break. The fastest time on record to type out a text message on a touchscreen phone with no autocorrect assist is 17 seconds. A veritable eternity for any experienced texter. Of course, the message in question is as follows. The razor-toothed piranhas of the genera Cerosalmus and Pygocentris are the most ferocious freshwater fish in the world. In reality, they seldom attack a human. There's some words in there that we don't use every day, but the chances are you have personally typed a longer message in a shorter time. Going bonkers. American Patrick Bertoletti is one of the few to set multiple records on the same day. After putting away the most jelly donuts anyone has ever eaten in a minute for his warm-up act, Patrick broke another record by peeling 8 bananas in 60 seconds. It's doubtful that many people even know this record exists, because it seems like it surely must have been broken by now. Pick up a couple bunches and see how fast you can go. After crushing Patrick's record, you can celebrate by making delicious smoothies for you and all your friends. Ultimate Trick Shot. This record might seem tougher than most on our list after all. It was set by a Harlem Globetrotter. Thunder Law sank a basket from 109 feet 9 inches to set the record for the longest successful basketball shot. An impressive feat, no doubt. There is, however, a catch, which makes this record more accessible than you might think. There is no time limit for the challenge, and Law even needed almost an hour to make his record-setting shot. We've all taken half-court shots while messing around as kids. The law of averages dictates that if you try for long enough, eventually you'll probably sink one. Just make sure you know exactly where that 109-foot 9-inch mark is. If you come up short even a few inches, you may impress your friends, but you won't break any world records. Game of Kings. Chess matches are known to often be long, drawn-out affairs, but here's something you can do with a chess set in under a minute which will get your name into the record books. The current fastest time to completely arrange a standard set currently stands at 34.2 seconds, achieved by Dalibor Jablanovic of Serbia in 2014. There are a few rules you have to follow, but nothing too restricting. All it takes is a solid knowledge of a chessboard's configuration and lightning-fast hands. Just make sure to only set up one piece at a time. Any more than that is an automatic disqualification. Cat-like prowess. In addition to this chess piece placing expertise, Jablanovic is also the holder of a record that a particularly determined cat could probably break. He's the fastest to unroll an entire roll of toilet paper using only one hand. Of course, you have to use a standard 2-ply roll, and your cat is not allowed to help. But as long as you've got a decent hand-eye coordination, this seems like a record that virtually anyone could claim. Some serious bread. Buttering bread is a delicate task, even with room temperature butter, which is ideal. You can end up totally mauling your slice if you have less than a soft touch. But if you've got your technique down, check out the record set live on Guinness's Facebook channel by Asha Leo of the US. She buttered 10 slices of bread in 26.11 seconds, just shy of one every 2.5 seconds. The only catch is that the butter must be spread evenly, but that's a given. See if you can come close. Asha's record has only stood since 2016, so it's ripe to be taken down. Let me spell it out for you. Spelling things out with your alphabet soup may have made lunchtime more fun as a kid, but have you ever tried arranging the entire alphabet from the letters? The fastest it's ever been done is 26.3 seconds, by Dinesh Kamoda of India. Pick up a can for old time's sake and try it for yourself. It might seem a bit tricky, but this just might be a world record that isn't quite as tough as it sounds. Danish pulled it off, and he's only 11 years old. Thanks for watching this top trending video. If you know of any more world records that you think you could beat, let us know in the comment section below.